Morning, guys. It's about 6:30 a.m. on looks like it's gonna be a bright sunny Monday. Got a few things I'm gonna work on today. Let me show you what I got. As always, I will include links down in the description, although I don't know if the link for this is going to be active anymore. I think there was a handful of them and they might all be gone, but this is a tachometer. It's a programmable. It's got dip switches on it. Haven't even opened it up yet. Not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. I got a good deal on it. It was about $100, so I figured it's worth a shot. This is an NS-300 clutch switch, which you can find on eBay for about $10. It's normally open, and when it gets pressed in, it closes. I'm thinking of fabricating up a bracket for the PACBRAKE to get rid of that stupid noodle switch. I don't like the noodle switch. I don't care if it's reliable or not. I just can't stand it. This is a red LED light that I'm gonna tie into the remote start. It's gonna be basically the horn output. So if you want to program the remote start to do something different, you need to be able to see how many flashes or how many honks it's giving you. And so I just had this laying around. I had it installed once before, but I need to go back through and do it again. And then I got a gauge mounting cup for this guy, and I'm hoping it'll work. Fingers crossed I don't have to return any of this stuff, but we'll get started on that. Consequently enough, looking at some of the components that I need to work with on the truck to get this gauge installed, they're actually made by NS ISSPRO. So there is a frequency divider box that has everything that you need to connect to this gauge to make it work. I believe. I gotta test that to make sure that theory is correct, but it's all accessible from under the dash. I'm still gonna pull the I still have to pull the dash apart to get to some of the other stuff today, but I'm not gonna do time lapse on this. You guys have seen that stuff a million times. I'll just give you updates as I go along. Let's get started. So it looks like this gauge is gonna work just fine. The operating voltage is 11 to 30 volts DC. It will take any sensor that's available. It's programmable to pulses per engine revolution. It's got reverse voltage protection. It's even got a list of dip switch settings on the back here based on pulses per revolution. And looks like it's got a cat setting on here. I'm gonna try these cat settings even though they're for a 3208. I'll have to look it up. Maybe I have to set it to something else. I think we run at 133 if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm not certain, so I may have to look up some more information on that. Ooh, look at all these fun numbers. Looks like 133 is up here, so we'll have to look and see what's gonna work. Let me get the dash torn apart. Alright, I got this one knocked out of the park. So this whole stupid noodle switch thing, I hate this thing. Anyhow, this NS-300 switch is gonna work just fine. All I did is I made this little bracket for it that attaches to the throttle linkage. And so now when you step on the accelerator, it goes down and up. And you see how it makes contact with the dash? So now it's closed. Here, let me see if I can do this one-handed. I got a meter hooked up. So see how it's closed right now? And then open. You barely move the throttle and it's open. Now it's open, I just barely touch the throttle. And then when you let off, it goes back closed. So for $10 and you know, a spare bracket that you have sitting around, this is probably going to be the best deal ever. And on top of that, it's adjustable. I have to I have to tweak it a little bit. Everything's just hand tight right now. So everything's just kind of hand tight right now, so it kind of flopped over to the side there, but see how that works? And the moment you move that throttle, it's off of there. So anyhow, Seth, if you're watching, there's your solution. It's a $10 solution. It does work. I'm gonna rip this noodle switch out and connect those wires to this switch, and it'll be a done deal. Here's what the bracket looks like. I don't know what this came off of. I had a spare sitting around, so I just chopped it up and ended up using it. But it's just simple. I put a small sweep in it to match the angle of the dash, and then put the switch on here like this. Easy peasy. Aside from some tie wraps, this will be the completed install on this clutch switch, this NS-300 clutch switch. As you can see, it works way better than that noodle nonsense. Much more reliable. These are built to do 1,000,000 cycles, if you can think about it. People pushing their clutch in, so the transmission senses it, and you just barely touch the accelerator and it comes off just the way it's supposed to. So done deal on that one. Okay guys, I metered the speedometer wires here, and your red wire is 25 or 24 volts. Your blue wire is 12 volts lighting for the gauge, and it responds to the dimmer switch. I believe the green wire is signal and the black wire is ground. So that's on the back of the speedometer. I'm assuming all the other wire colors do the same thing. So you got, black is ground, green is the sensor signal, and then red is 25 volts or 24 volts to turn them on, and blue is your lighting. So it looks like they're matching that same color scenario all throughout. I'm going to test the voltage on the this little ISSPRO box. This is the see how it says ISSPRO? So this is a frequency divider, and it goes into this harness, and strangely enough, I tapped into 24 volts off this for the signal that powers all the relays when the ignition is on inside the ammo can switches. So that's where I pulled my 24 volt switched power. I got to go through here and find out what these other ones do. One of these is signal wire. I have a wiring diagram here that Ron sent me. This is for the frequency divider, and he drew up some. So he's saying that 1550 should be the tachometer signal. If you look at this, you've got your ground, input, or input, output, negative, and your 24 volt power, which I've already figured out which one that is, and then your input, output on your positive side. So I'm gonna have to go through and meter those out, figure out what goes where, and then we'll move on from there. So when you guys set this gauge up, if you get one of these, there's a pulses per revolution sheet, and if you look at this section here, you see 133, 1, 3, and 8 are on, and so that's the same thing I did here. 1, 3, and 8 are on. Hopefully that sets the tachometer up correctly. Now I just got to figure out where the signal's at on that wiring harness, and then we're good. Okay. So I've figured out that this green wire is your tach signal. I have no idea what this white wire is for. It has it's 28 volts coming off of it. The red is obviously your ignition source power. Then you got 3 grounds. One of these is connected to the sensor, so I got to figure out which one that is. Alright guys, I was right. So I have this temporarily rigged up, but you got the ground wire going to the top, the white wire going to the green, and 24 volt power. Check this out. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. Check this out. Definitely works. Now I just got to install it permanently. Alright guys, I got everything set back up. I had to put an extension bracket on there, not a big deal, so it would stick out a little bit further and grab the gauge cup or the gauge pod a little better. Shout out to my dad for giving me some random wire harnesses. I made an extension harness that actually goes through the 1/2-inch fitting there and in here behind the dash. And all I did, guys, is I tied into the existing gauge terminals. This is gonna be really hard to see because my stupid phone don't focus on anything. But I basically there you go. All I did is I took the these little right angle wiring harness things. They slide off. Just put a ring terminal on your wire and slide underneath it. So I got my 24 volt here and my ground here, and then I tied into the lighting circuit here, and of course the tach signal is right here coming up from under the dash from the oh, I can't even think of what that thing is called now. The ISSPRO thingamajig. Anyhow, I gotta button the dash back up, but check this out. So it does a little sweep. Then you go to start the truck. There you go. It's pretty awesome, right? Pretty awesome. I also got my little indicator for my remote start to program it, and then the valet button installed on the dash too. Let me get this all buttoned up and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Alright guys, there you have it. Everything's put back together. Got the tachometer on the dash now, looking pretty nice. I had to order a new little plastic handle there, and I found a John Deere part that's coming. I'll show you guys that. It's gonna be a perfect fit, I just know it. Anyhow, if you guys like this video, you learned something. I know some of you were waiting for me to get that tachometer installed, so if you enjoyed it and learned something, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Got a lot of cool adventures coming up, and we're gonna be cranking away on the build series, get that going. Some more, we got some bigger projects coming up. But other than that, take care, guys. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye-bye. Thanks, PACBRAKE, for a quality part.